Okay, Samich Tes Amid Aleph. Okay, we got into yesterday, just as to segue into today's daf. We had Rabbi Yochanan asked on Reish Lakish. He said that Yush, Rabbi Yochanan said Yush is not kaina. Reish Lakish said Yush is kaina. He said if a person steals something and is magdashit, he doesn't pay dalid v'hei. What's the reason he doesn't pay dalid v'hei? Because it's kodesh. Mashma, if it wasn't kodesh, you would pay dalid v'hei. What are we speaking about? If it's speaking about before Yush, how in the world could he go ahead and be magdashit? I what ain't other magdash davish that's ain't a shalai ain't a b'shuslay. Ella must be that what that it's after Yush, and therefore that was his kasha. What the Gemara answer? It was the guy. It was the ain't other magdash davish ain't shalai. It was the Baal who was magdashit. Right? The Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan himself says that a Baal cannot go ahead. That's Reish Lakish. So Reish Lakish says, how could you go ahead and be magdashit? It's not in your rishus. And so now the Gemara said it's in the mission of the Tznuyos. What did the Tznuyos do? The Tznuyos, they went ahead, and there were people who either take et neter avoy or aniyim who did not know the halachas of leket, and they would take too much. So they went ahead and they put money, and they said the kedusha should be malakate on this, should be hefker, should be on this, the kedusha on this money. So over there already was not in their rishus because it was taken already. It was nilkat, it was taken already. It wasn't in their rishus, and you see you could do it. So that's the mission of Hegdish. It's speaking lifnei yish, and it's not a kasha on Reish Lakish. That was the end of yesterday's easy daf. Now today we have we're going to very geshmak daf, and we start with Gufa on Samech Tes Amid Aleph. Gufa. We previously said Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Gozov lo nisyashu abaylim. If the person steals something and the Baal doesn't give up hope, neither one can be magdish. The Goslin can't be because it's not his. And the Baal can't be because it's not his rishus. Now we're going to bring in guys outside. We're going to bring in the whole Mishnah of Tznuos. Tznuos clearly it's not in your rishus, and you could be mechalol. The Gemara made the tzushtel yesterday that just like there's a chilel, you need in your rishus to be magdashit. Then in chilel also. There's a long taisus on the last taisus on the page whether yes on that whether how can you compare the two? But the bottom line is Rabbi Yochanan says the halakha is like a stam mishnah. Tznuos is a stam mishnah, and the mishnah of Tznuos is stating that I don't need it in my rishus. Why? I'm a chalal even though it was taken already. So how could Rabbi Yochanan say he'd be magdish needed in rishus? We have a stam mishnah that says no, even it's not in your rishus. And again, making the tzushtel between chilul and hegdish, you don't need to be in your rishus. That's going to be the kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. Guys, got it? Very geshmak. Says the Gemara. Umiyam Rabbi Yochanan hachi that you can't be magdish something that's not in your rishus. From Rabbi Yochanan says a rule. Halacha kistam mishnah. The halacha is like a stam mishnah. V'tanan. Kerem Ravoy, they had Kerem Ravoy, and they wanted people to know that you can't take that if you steal it, you got a problem because that's Kedushas Ma'aser Sheni. The fourth year, again, the first 3 years of a fruit-bearing tree, it's Arla. In the fourth year, it's called Kerem Ravoy. Or the Rambam says not only Kerem Ravoy, in Mishnah and Brachas Lamed Hey says it's only by Kerem Achloikis, but it's only by Kerem Ravoy or Afil by Neter Ravoy. And we say Afil by Neter Ravoy. So by any fruit-bearing tree, you have the halacha of the fourth year, it's Ma'aser Sheni, you have to bring it to Yerushalayim. How would people know? They were mitzayin, they made a simon around the field. What did they do? They would mitzayin asay because zuzos adama, they would take pieces of earth, regavim of earth, clods of earth, and they would put it around the field, and simon ki adama. Ma adama ika hanami, ne avhai nami ki mifrika shoy lesune beit. Just like what? Earth, you have enough of it because you plant crops, and it comes from it. So too, after you pay to this, you can have enough of it. So that's the simon. Continuing on, Vishal Arla, the first 3 years where it's asibana, becharsis, right, becharsis, right, and they would go ahead and surround it with broken tiles, with earthenware. Kicharsis, ma charsis sheina nomine, afhai glespe hanomine. Now, stamazah, you think it means that charsis you can't grow something, but in fact, Rash Tosis brings places where it does grow. However, it doesn't grow; it grows very poorly, and it doesn't regenerate. So compared to Adama, certainly Charsis is so to Arla. It's like Charsis, you're not going to have enough from it. B'shel kfaros. How would they mitzayin dead bodies, right? Besid, they would use lime. Simna de chivra. Katzamas, the simon is it's white, like what? White lime, like bones. Umemacha, they would go ahead and mix it with water, b'shoifach, and spill it out. Ki heichad in nachmet feit. That it become very, very white. So this is all the Mishnah there. Continues the Mishnah. Amr Reb Shimon Gamliel, b'medem mamurim. When would they do this? B'shvius, they would do it in the Shemitah year, the hefkenenu, because it's hefker, and therefore people are apt to take it. So since they're apt to take it, they would have to go ahead and say, okay, you're going to take it, but guess what? You should be aware that you shouldn't take because it's arla. This, if you take it's netter avoy, you have to be paid it. Right? And obviously, it's not going on kfarim. Aval b'shashnei shavua, the rest of the days of the year, haliteo l'rasha biyamas, lazim fressen and starben. Let them go ahead and eat and die. You know, and not my. I don't have to be mad for you. You're going to steal. Why do I have to go ahead and be mitzay in my field? You're going to steal from me, right? You're going to steal the netter avoy. You're going to steal the arla. Guess what? You take it. It's in that's what the Tanakama. That's what Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says. However, b'hatznuyim manichem es hamois, they would go ahead and leave money. V'oimra kol al nilkut mizeh, anything that was taken previously from this field, mechulul al ma'is halalu is mechulul on this. Now the question is, when did they do this? They do it in the Shemitah year only, or they did it every year round? Tosfos brings they did it year round, because for Shemitah it's hefker. Why would you have to go ahead and be mechal it? You don't have to be mechal hefker. So therefore they did it. What for? The Rambam says it's also going to Shemitah year. You have to see what pshat the Rambam is, but the bottom line is, hey, you have a stam mishnah. Okay, so now what's akasha, guys? What's akasha? You have a stam mishnah. You have a stam mishnah that says that tznuyois would be mechalel on something that was nilkat, that was taken already. That means it doesn't have to be in your shus. Rabbi Yochanan paskins like a stam mishnah. Yet Rabbi Yochanan himself said you can't be magda something that's not in your shus. It's a steer. Rabbi Yochanan from this mishnah is a steer to him. Again, equating chilel and kiddush, guys. Equating the ability to be mechalel and to be magdish. Okay. Once the chilel doesn't have to be mishus, hegdish also doesn't be mishus. Yeah, Rabbi Yochanan says it does have to be in mishus, right? Good. That's your kasha. Okay. The chitema mantana tznuin. Rabbi Shem Gamliel. So maybe it's not a stam mishnah. It says that tznuyos. Rabbi Shem Gamliel is talking, and then it says tznuyos. So maybe it's not a stam mishnah. Maybe it's according to the Tana Rabbi Shem Gamliel. Over there, you also don't win. Because even if the tznuis is Reb Shimon Gamliel, the halacha is going to be like Shimon Gamliel. But Omer Rav Chana, Omer Rav Yochanan, Kol Makom Sheshon Reb Shimon Gamliel Mishlasenu. Anytime we mention Reb Shimon Gamliel in our Mishnah, halacha k'maisai. The halacha is like him. Chutz 3 places. Me'orev v'tzidain v'rayach reina. So if you're going to tell me the Mishnah, even so, now guys, if it's a stam Mishnah, you have a problem. And if it's not a stam Mishnah, you have a problem. Because the halacha will be like Reb Shimon Gamliel in this Mishnah, that the halacha is like the tznuyos. So you see that what it doesn't have to be in your rishus. Says the Gemara, Amri loy tema kol hanilkat. Don't say anything that was taken, that was picked. Mizeh elaema kol hamislaket mizeh. Anything that futuristically will be picked. Guys, if it will be picked, it's in your rishus. What are you saying? You're taking money, you're putting it aside, and you're saying anything that will be picked should be mechulel on this money. So that's in your rishus now. So the tznuyos, they weren't speaking about past, and therefore it's a problem with Rabbi Yochanan. It was speaking about future. Stam Mishnah is like the tznuyos. I'm able to go ahead and take off the kedusha on anything that will be picked in the future. Now we're going to see it's a din of breira. We're going to see it's a breira din. But the bottom line is it's not a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan anymore. Rabbi Yochanan is consistent. I hold you can't be magdish something that's not in rishus. Tznuyos, why tznuyos can you be mechalo? Because it's still in their rishus. Because it's speaking kol hamislakate, anything that will be taken, not nilkat that was taken. We're good. We're good. Who you good? Okay. Says the Gemara. Fred Gemara umi Omer Rabbi Yochanan hachi. Does Rabbi Yochanan really say so? Does he really say that what? That it's speaking about future? The Tznuyim and the Tana Reb Doisa all hold the same thing. Reb Doisa nilkat ka'amar, and Reb Doisa said it's speaking about past, that it's going on when it was taken. So now you just restored the question on Rabbi Yochanan, because if the Tznuyim hold like Reb Doisa and it's past tense, that means you could be mechalel something that's not in Yerushus, and therefore you should be magdish something that's in Yerushus. So you just restored the kasha on Rabbi Yochanan. The Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Shachris, Balabayis Oimed v'Omer. Shachris, the Balabayis would get up and he would say, Kol sheyilkitu aniyim hayoin, anything that the aniyim take today. Again, there's two things over here. The Tznuyas was speaking about Kerem Ravoy, where they would steal. Over here, we're speaking about aniyim who mistakenly, halachically make, the din of leket, for example, is only in two. So if they take three, it's the din of geneva in the third one. But they're not stealing, right, maliciously, they just don't know the halacha. So they would get up to Tznuyos and they would say, anything that what? This is Rabbi Yehuda, anything that will be picked today, what should be hefker. It should be hefker. That's what they say. They didn't put money. They didn't put money. There's no din of chilul by leket, guys, right? By aniyim, there's no din. The din of, again, that's why the din of pediya is only by by neter ravoy, which has the din of maisa sheni. You take it to Yerushalayim. Mashenkin over here, it's a din in, if it's stealing, if I'm after it, then you're not stealing. So they would get up, Rabbi Yehuda said they'd get up in the morning and they'd say, listen, anything that's taken from this field today, that what is too much is hefker. But that's speaking about that will be taken from the day. Reb Doisa Omer, Lasuse Erev Omer, towards evening they'd say, Kol sheloktu aniyim, anything that aniyim took, keyword being took, past tense, yeah, hefker, should be hefker. So guys, let's, in our cheshbon, where are we holding now? Guys, watch. You wanted to say that the Tznuyas is speaking about future, and it's still in their rishus. You can't say that, because Rabbi Yochanan himself said that the Tznuyas and Reb Doisa held the same thing. We see Reb Doisa does not require it to be in your rishus, because by the aniyim, right? That he said anything that I picked today. So who adin the tzluyos? Anything that was taken today, was stolen today, right? Should be mechulul. So now we've proven that the tzluyos is speaking about past tense. It's speaking about it wasn't in your rishus. That restores the steer in Rabbi Yochanan. By kochim, you can't be magda something that he said you can't be magda something that's in your rishus. Yet by tzluyos, you could be mechal something that's not in your rishus. So we're back to the original question. How we doing? Back to the original question. And for the Gemara, Epach, the Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Doisa. Switch around Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Doisa. Rabbi Doisa, Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so guys, watch. So what's your teretz now? Rabbi Yochanan holds like Rabbi Doisa. Rabbi Doisa doesn't hold past. Rabbi Doisa holds future. So in other words, we avoided the same teretz the same way. Just switch around. It's not speaking. Ein achanami, the past you can't, because it's not in your rishus. But that will be taken, I could do it. Good. So now it comes out. Rabbi Yehuda is the one saying what past, and Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Doisa is the one saying the future. Good. Good. Says the Gemara. Thanks for the Bible one. Amai afcha snisan afcha Rabbi Yochanan ve'emat snuyim Rabbi Yehuda amad davar echad. Guys, what did we do? We switched around Reb Doisa to say Reb Doisa is the one who said future, and that avoided the problem. Why don't you just switch around Reb Yehuda and Reb Doisa and say keep the existing thing and switch around Reb Doisa and Reb Yehuda? Reb Yochanan said according to Reb Yehuda, not according to Reb Doisa. Reb Yochanan said according to Reb Yehuda and not according to Reb Doisa, meaning Reb Yehuda would still hold future, and therefore won't be a problem because future is still in your rishus. Guys, look at me. Guys, look at me. What's the cash over here? Hegdish and Chilul, let's make them equal. Rabbi Yochanan says you can't, it has to be in your rishus. The tznuyos, it's not in your rishus if it's past. If it's your future, it's not a problem. We have Rabbi Yochanan saying the same thing as Rabbi Doisa, and Rabbi Doisa said past. That creates the problem. Says the Gemara, switch around. Reb Doisa says the future. Says the Gemara, why do you switch it around? Just keep Reb Yehuda, right? Instead of messing up a brisa, switch the words of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says that Reb Doisa, that the Tznuos and Reb Yehuda say the same thing. What's it speaking about? Future. Future's not a problem. Got it? Got it? But now you're going to create another problem. Outside, I'll give you the Gemara outside. The case of future is a case of Breira. Here's what you're saying. I'm getting up in the morning and I'm saying anything that's taken today will be Hefker. So when the person takes it, what do we say? It's Huvra Hadavar Lemafreya retroactively that it's Hefker. Right? That's what you're saying. Because you don't know what's going to be taken. Elamat, when it's taken, retroactive. The guy, you got up in the morning at 6 a.m. The guy took it at 5 p.m. He took it at 5 p.m., right? So what are you going to say? It's Huvra Adavar Lemafreya that at 6 a.m., this that was taken at 5 p.m. is Hefker. That's the Breira, guys. Good? So now, if you hold futures Breira, I'll tell you why you had to say, you couldn't say that Rabbi Yehuda, that Rabbi Yochanan said like Rabbi Yehuda. He had to say like Rabbi Doisa. Because Rabbi Yehuda does not hold a Breira. So therefore, you had to switch around Rabbi Doisa to answer up the kasha. Again, the answer to kasha is not a problem. Once you say it's speaking about future, it's in your Rishus, Stam Mishnah, Tznuos, it's not a problem, Rabbi Yochanan. So what did we do? We switched around Rabbi Doisa to say Rabbi Doisa is speaking about the future and Rabbi Yehuda speaking about the past. Says the Gemara, why do you have to do that? Just keep it. If the way out of the problem was to speak about the Tznuos is the future, keep Rabbi Yehuda. Says the Gemara, we couldn't keep Rabbi Yehuda. We couldn't keep him. You know why? Because if you hold future, you hold Breira. And we're going to see Rabbi Yehuda does not hold a Breira. So if I would ask you guys who've been through Shas so many times, where's the Sugya Breira? You'd spit it out right away. Right? You spit it out. No, you were doing Erevin? No, come on, Benji. Getting the first time. Says the Gemara, V'shamina Rabbi Yehuda.
Wine, right? Wine?
What?
Wine.
What?
The wine in the barrel.
Yes.
How the fuck did I know?
That's it. There you go. Says the Gemara. So the Eimet Tzlui of Rabbi Yehuda Amru Davar Echad. So why do you put in Rabbi Doisa just say Rabbi Yehuda? Says Me'amilei Sagi mishafach. You have to switch it around. Mastisa. The Baham Mastisa Katani. This late Rabbi Yehuda Breira. Over here you're learning future. Rabbi Yehuda holds a Breira, but that doesn't work. The Shamina Rabbi Yehuda Ba'alma the left lay Breira. He holds right. The Tnan was someplace the Tanya. Amid Beis the Tanya. Halokeach Yayim Mibein Akutim. Someone who goes ahead. It's speaking, guys. Some places it says he didn't have kalim. Other places say it was Erev Shabbos. Rashi says it was Erev Shabbos, Ben Hashmashas. He wants to have wine for Shabbos, and he didn't shade up yet. He didn't go ahead and take off his stuff. So Halkeach Yaimi Ben Akutim. Omer Shnei Loigim Shani Asa Lahafrish Harihin Truma. 2 loigim that I in the future will be which should be Truma. Asara Meiser Rishon. 10 should be Meiser Rishon. That's 9.8. Tes Meiser Sheni. Tes is Meiser Sheni. Umich Mechal, and you take off the Tes Meiser Sheni, you would be Mechal on money. And now you have, but you didn't separate anything. You just had Kriyas Hashem. V'shaisa miyad divremeya. Why? Because Remeya holds a breira, guys. You're drinking now, and then later on you'll say it's Huvra Hadavar Lemafreya. It's retroactively clear that that's left in the barrel is what is Truma and Maisa. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, Oisrin, right? They hold what? It's Asa. Why? Because they hold Ein Breira. So Mamela, we had to switch around, not because of Rabbi Yochanan. We had to switch around for Rabbi Yehuda. So now, at this point in time, everything is great. We have a Stam Mishnah. It's speaking what? About that Rabbi Yehuda goes according to Rabbi Doisa. The Tznu and Rabbi Doisa. Rabbi Doisa said future. The Stam Mishnah is speaking future. If it's future, it's still in your Rishus. And therefore, it's not a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan why he says that what? By Hegdish, you can't be Magdish, something that's not in your Rishus. Everything's great right now. Good. Now that you understand it, everything, of course, you know what's going to happen. Says the Gemara now. Here you got a problem. Guys, Rabbi Yochanan is holding what? Future or past? He's holding future, correct? That means he holds a brera, right? I'm going to show you he doesn't hold a brera. So you know what? You took care of Rabbi Yehuda's brera problem, but by making the Stam Mishnah go according to the future, you create a problem in Rabbi Yochanan himself. So in Rabbi Yochanan, guys, you avoided the Einer B'Shusay problem, but by saying it's speaking about future, you created another problem. You created a brera problem. Geschmack Gemara, guys. Mamish Geschmack Gemara. Says the Gemara. Says the Gemara. Why did you switch around Rabbi Yehuda to be the past and not the future? Mishum the question to Rabbi Yehuda. He had a question of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda. Now you can have a kasha. Why was the kasha Rabbi Yehuda? There, if he holds futures, it's brera. He holds by Shem. He holds by what? By the wine. He holds ain brera. So over here, what's going on over here? Over here, according to Rabbi Yochanan, he holds yesh brera because of future. But we heard Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan, like tema kol nilka. Don't say past. Alema kol hamislake, future. That creates the brera problem. Alma isle brera, but Rabbi Yochanan less brera. Rabbi Yochanan doesn't know the brera. So you avoided one problem and created another. You avoided the shlei rishus problem by saying it's speaking about the future, but by saying about the future, you created a brera problem. Now here's a second din of brera that we always say. Geschmack when you know it. Guys, outside. When two brothers divide up an estate, that's just two brothers divide up an estate. There's two ways to view them. You can view them as buying from one another. I'm buying from you and you're buying from me. Or we can view them as Yershim. You're inheriting and I'm inheriting. What's the difference? Comes Yovel. If you hold a Yershim, we'll say Brera. It's Huvra Dovel Mafreya, that when daddy was alive, this chelik was mine and that chelik was yours. In other words, we never had anything whatsoever. We didn't buy anything from each other. We each had separate components, separate piece of property. That's if you hold yesh brera. But if you hold ain brera, meaning you don't view them as huvra hadovel mafreya, that this was yours and this was mine, then we both owned it. So how did you end up, yours ended up mine? We each sold each other the part. So we were lekuchas, right? What's the din of lekuchas of steyachuz and yovel? Goes back. Rabbi Yochanan holds it goes back in yovel. What do you see? He must hold the lekuchas. If he holds the lekuchas, he says the lekuchas. If he says the lekuchas, he must hold ein brera. So now you have a problem. Over here by tznuos, you're saying that Rabbi Yochanan holds like what? Like tznuos, like Rabbi Doisa. It's speaking future that what? That anything that will be taken off today will now be hefker retroactively. That's brera. But over here by Yorshem, you see he holds that the lekuchas is an ein brera. So good, you took care of the Einer Rishusay problem by saying it's speaking about the future. By saying it's speaking about the future, you created a brera problem. Beautiful kasha. Beautiful Gemara. Says the Gemara, Elol kolon nilkat. Guess what? We're going back to the original kasha. Original pshat. It's speaking, Reb Dois is holding. You're not switching around, guys. You're not switching. Reb Doisa says past tense. Anything that was taken off, any oni that took was hefker. It should be hefker. It's not in my rishus. I don't care. You're creating a problem now for Rabbi Yochanan. Now you're creating a problem because you see it doesn't have to be in your rishus. That the Gemara says it's not a problem. Rabbi Yochanan stoma achrina ashkin. He found another stam mishnah. So guys, mechanically, here's what's happening. There are two stam mishnahs. One that says that Einer B'Shusay is a problem. One that says it's not a problem. By Tznuos, it wasn't a problem. But the next mishnah is this problem. And Rabbi Yochanan held like that stam. The Gemara is going to ask, why did he like that stam more than that stam? And the Gemara will explain. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan stam achrina ashken ditnan. Eina goynev acha aganev mishalan tishlami kefil. Our mishnah, a stam mishnah. One ganef steals from another ganef. The second ganef does not pay kefil. Amai, why doesn't he pay kefil? Very good to the first ganef. He doesn't pay kefil. It says v'goynev mi beisa ish v'loy mi beisa ganef. You steal it from the house of the ish and not from the house of the ganef. So therefore, there's no kefil. El lebaylam l'shalem. Why doesn't he pay kefil what to the original owner? Guys, it says we're going to be base ish. Good, guys. Shimon, Ruvain, Shimon, Levi. Shimon steals from Ruvain. Levi steals from Shimon. Why doesn't Levi pay Ruvain kefil? You know the answer? Because since it wasn't in his rishus when it was stolen, it's not going to be base ish. In order to pay kefil, it has to be going to be base ish. It wasn't base ish, so we see it's not a. It's considered a rishus if it's not base ish. That's the Stam Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Elul Bailam Nishalim Elulash Mamina Zelafi Shena Shalai V'Zelafi Shena B'Shusai. This he doesn't pay to Shimon. He doesn't pay to Shimon because Shimon's a ganef. It's not his. And he doesn't pay to Reuven because it's not his rishus. Okay, so you have a teretz, guys. Why did Rabbi Yochanan go after this our Mishnah rather than the Mishnah of the Tzluyos? Why? Says the Gemara, Mishun the Messiah lekra, because the pasuk substantiates our Mishnah. It says the ish ki yagdish is beisay kodesh lashem, ma beisay b'shusay, just like his house is in his rishus, I've called b'shusay. So to what? It's in his rishus. Okay, so let's go over the Gemara outside what we saw today. Rabbi Yochanan said, anyone who Gazlan who steals, person can't, the Gazlan can't be magic because it's not his, and the Baal can't be magic because it's not his rishus. For the Gemara, we have a Stam Mishnah that says it doesn't have to be in your rishus. We have the Mishnah of Tznuos. What I want to say, Tznuos was speaking about what it wasn't your rishus because it's speaking that when were you when did you make it hefker? When it was still in your rishus. We had a problem with that. Why? Because to be mafka something that would be taken later is speaking about breira. We have a problem. Rabbi Yochanan does not hold the breira. He holds that brothers who divide are l'kuches. So Memela, he can't hold of what? He can't hold of the Stam Mishnah is problematic if it's speaking about the future. So and for the Gemara, you're right. That Stam Mishnah is not a problem. That Stam Mishnah is speaking about the past. That Stam Mishnah is speaking about the past, right? It's speaking about the past that it was excuse me, that therefore that's not, so that was a problem. Breira was a problem, so therefore we're going to change it around. That Stam Mishnah is speaking about the past. If it's speaking about the past, it's not Breira. Anything that was taken is not Breira anymore. So therefore, it's not a problem to Rabbi Yochanan. It's not a Breira problem anymore. But what is it? It's now it's a problem of what of Ein B'Shusay. Because if it was taken already, and you can be machalid, it's not in your rishus. So back to the original question. If the Mishnah in Ma'aseh Sheni of Tznuos is speaking about what? Where it was taken away, and why was it speaking about when it was taken already? Because we want to avoid the problem of breira. But now you've created the problem of Ein B'Rishus, right? Because you see you could go ahead and be mafker something that is no longer in your rishus. And for the Gemara, you're right. That Mishnah, Rabbi Yochanan can't go according to Rabbi Yochanan. But Rabbi Yochanan found another Mishnah. He found a Star Mishnah. What Mishnah? Our Mishnah. A Ganef steals from a Ganef. He doesn't pay kefil. He doesn't pay kefil to the Ganef because it's not his. And he doesn't pay to the owner because it's not considered in his house. Why isn't it considered in his house? Because it's not in his rishus. Now, why did Rabbi Yochanan opt for that Mishnah? Because there's a pasuk. This ish kiyagdish is basically kodesh. Person's just like his house is in rishus. That's in rishus. So Rabbi Yochanan held serve. He had a Mishnah that not go according to him. He had a Mishnah that did according to him. He opted to go according to that Mishnah, and we're good. Now, we had the Tzluyos and Rabbi saying the same thing, right? That they're saying that what? That it doesn't have to be in your rishus, even if it's out of your rishus. Okay. Now, where did the Tzluyos say that? Where did the Tzluyos say that din? And where did Rabbi say is din? The Tzluyos say that din by Ganovim. They said it by Kerem Ravoy. That people are going to steal, so they took money aside and they said, anything that's over there, I'm going to be paid on here. They were stealing, right? They were stealing. When did Rabbi say his din? He said his din by Aniyim, who mistakenly took more, and they were stealing not maliciously, right? So l'chayra, the Rabbi Yochanan said they said the same thing. The rest of the Gemara is saying, if not for Rabbi Yochanan, I could have said differently. That's what the Gemara is going to do. A few cases. And then we'll end. Says the Gemara. Amar Abaya, says Abaya. Ilav the Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Tzluyim v'Reb Doisa Amru Davar Echad. Haviamina, I would have said the following: Snua islahu the Reb Doisa. That Snuin that said it then by Gazela would hold like Reb Doisa who said it's then by the Aniyim. However, Reb Doisa lesnei that Snuyim. Reb Doisa who said it's then by the Aniyim would not say it by the Ganovim who stole the net the Ravoi. Snuim is like the Doisa Uma began of the Rabbana Takanta. By Karen Ravoi, the Rabbana made a takana. By going ahead separating money to Mechalel, Aniyim Tzrichel Meimat, by the Aniyim that we should make a takana. However, Reb Doisu said by Aniyim, less ludit Snuyim. Aniyim who dove the Rabbana Takanta, because they were Bishoigeg, they didn't know the halacha to take a leket. Aval Ganif, but to steal, to outright Le'avli Rabbana Takanta, let them eat and die, right? Good. Amarava. He loved Reb Yochanan Stu of Reb Doisa Amadover Echad. Have Amina man Tanit Snui. Who is the Tan of Snui? This is Reb Meir. Okay, outside, guys. Let me give you Gemara outside. Machlokes by Reb Meir. What the Maisa is considered Mama Gavaya or not? Maisa Sheni is a Mama Gavaya or not? Could you Mekadesh Nisha with it or not? Famous Machlokes. Reb Meir holds that what it's Mama Gavaya. Elama, the Torah lets you be paid. It's a real chiddush. The Torah lets you be paid. So, Kerem Ravoi, we have a Gezerah Shava Kodesh to Maisa Sheni. I'd say the same thing. That really, it doesn't really, the reason why you can be machalal it is because you don't need it in your rishus, because after all, Maisa Sheni is not in your rishus, it's not your money. And nonetheless, the Torah lets you be machalal. So, who are din? So, therefore, I would say it's a din that's unique to these things. But when it comes to leket, I would say not. That's the Gemara's next point. Says the Gemara. If not for Rabbi Yochanan telling me that Sluyas and Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Doisa said the same thing, I'd say man tanet Sluyas Reb Meir. Lavam Reb Meir Maisa Mamen Gavayahu Vafilu Hachi Linyan Kedia Ukni Rachman B'Shusei. Maisa Sheni is not what it's Mamen Gavaya, belongs to Hashem, and nonetheless the Torah lets you be paid it. And the Chsiv Vim Gol Yigol Ishmi Maisroi Chamishisa Yosef Allah, the owner has to eat a fifth. Kaya Rachmana Maisroi, the Torah calls it his Maiser. Umoisav Chaimish. Kerem Ravainami. Gama Kodesh Mi Maisa. We'll learn how to Gezerah Shava. Ksiv Hocha Kodesh Yilulim. Ksiv by Neter Avoy it says Kodesh Yilulim. Ksiv Gabi Maisa V'chol Maisa Oretz Mizera Oretz Mipriya Eitz Lashem Hu Kodesh. Ma Kodesh Ksiv Gabi Maisa Afgab the Moment Gabayahu Linyi Pediya Ukmi Rachmana B'Shosei Af Hai Kodesh Nami. The Ksiv Gabi Karen Ravoy Afgab the Moment the day, it's not yours. That you can you can go ahead and be machal it. The kiyasi b'shusay nami lav didehu v'matzi machal mishum haki matzi machal. Avagabe leket, but I would say by leket where the Rabbi Doisa said his din, he said his din by leket. Kima de moina didei, since it's his money. Kiyasi b'shusay hu de matzi mafkale. Only when it's in his rishus could he be mafkaret. Kiyasi b'shusay le matzi mafkale. That's what he would have said. However, now that Rabbi Yochanan told me that Rabbi Doisa and the Tznuim say the same din, not a problem. It doesn't have to be in Yerushus, because we're saying it's speaking about Nilkot, where it was past tense, where you're being mafka something that's no longer there. Finally, Ravina, Ilavdam Rabbi Yochanan Tznuim Rabbi Doisa Amadavar Echad, Havamina, Man Tanet Tznuim is Rabbi Doisa he. Who's the Tanet Tznuim? Is Rabbi Doisa, meaning it's a Das Yochid. Guys, it's not a Stam Mishnah. It's a Das Yochid. I would, if not Rabbi Yochanan, I would have said, I wouldn't have any problems. Rabbi Yochanan created his own problem. What was Rabbi Yochanan's problem? He says it has to be in Yerushus. The Tzluyas doesn't have to be in Yerushus. So, Kasha, Stam Mishnah like what? Like Rabbi Yochanan. If Rabbi Yochanan didn't tell us that the Tzluyas and Rabbi Doisa are two different people, I would say they're the same person. And it's not a Stam Mishnah. And therefore, it wouldn't have been a problem to quote Rabbi Yochanan. But once Rabbi Yochanan said that, it created the problem, and it created the need to go ahead to the other Mishnah, our Mishnah, to say that what from the Mishnah of Ganif, that's where you learn out that it has to be in your Rishus. Ki hechi delay tekshi stam Mishnah with Rabbi Yochanan. I would say that the Tzluyas is Rabbi Doisa, that we wouldn't have a stam Mishnah Rabbi Yochanan because it's not a stam Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan kistam yichidoi lo yamar. Rabbi Yochanan says the loch is like a stam Mishnah, but he doesn't stay like a stam Mishnah like Rabbi Doisa. Okay, so nice Gemara, Baruch Hashem. Kenny, late arrival. You got enough? He'll catch up. You'll chazer in the car.
Absolutely. Okay, see ya.